Good morning, Facebook world. Yay. It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Fired up. I have to go grocery shopping still.
Oh, no.
Going right after this.
I'm sending my husband, but all we have to
I'm
get is
feeling
potatoes and
Yeah.
wine and rolls. So I
Oh,
think
there you
we're
go.
okay.
All right.
They
Before
run
the
out,
show.
though.
We're not on the
They
air
do.
yet.
Rolls
Yeah.
are
You're getting all the
hot
behind the
items.
scenes stuff.
QC
always-
was nuts last night.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 425 Show, your place to be for all things real estate and lifestyle related. Because buying and selling a house is about so much more than bedrooms and baths. It's about the people, the businesses, and the events that make this a great place to live. And that's what the show is about every week. So whether you're new to the area or looking for some new ideas, we've got you covered. I'm your host, Nicole Mangina with Windermere Real Estate. This is the week that my phone starts to ring. Something about the holidays and people get real estate on the brain. I heard once years ago it's because the days are shorter, and with the holidays we spend more time in our homes than normal, so you start to notice, is it too big, too small? I don't know what it is. All I know is between now and the end of the year, my phone rings a lot with people getting ready to do real estate stuff. So if that applies to you, I invite you to reach out. You can always find me via email, nicole@nicolemangina.com. Send me a note, we'll chat real estate. Wanted to give a shout out this morning to Forgotten Dog Rescue. They are, I know, we adopted a puppy over the weekend. Woo woo. Life is good. I'm actually getting sleep. It's all happy in our house, yes. This is our second dog that we have adopted through this organization, ForgottenDogRescue.com, or they have a phenomenal Instagram feed. That's how we ended up with our puppy, because my husband and I follow them now, and they are always posting really adorable pictures of their dogs. And sure enough, one popped up, and my husband came home and said, "Hey, did you see the dog they posted today?" I said, "Yes, I think the dog's available." And now she lives in our house. Her name's Dinger. We're a baseball family, so we have a Wrigley and a Dinger. So check out Forgotten Dog Rescue. They're amazing people. And now I'm excited to introduce our guest today, Melinda Slater with Melinda Slater Interiors. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Nicole.
Thanks for
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We'll need you after we get our dog all trained. We're trying to figure out how to
We'll wait.
put the house back together.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of a remodel. Fortunately, we hadn't gotten to the carpet phase, because we'll definitely need some after this.
Okay. Well, I just put carpet in, and I have a puppy, so
Oh, you're a brave soul.
nobody upstairs. It doesn't work.
No. Oh, well.
Just
Okay.
FYI.
All right. Thanks for letting me know.
Sure.
All right. So you do interiors, but kind of interiors with a twist.
Yeah, I really focus on the bigger picture of
Mhm.
somebody's home, so that involves space planning.
Sure.
And space planning is all about how is space allocated? How do we
Exactly.
reallocate it?
Mhm.
Do we need to move some walls?
Mhm.
Create more walls? But open concept's super popular right now, so
Sure.
a lot of people want that open concept, and it's not for everybody, but it is pretty important, and helps open up a space and make it feel lighter and brighter. So
Yeah, open concepts are great, but I think that's really where someone like you come in with the whole space planning, because it sounds good and it's nice from a light, open connection standpoint, but there
Mhm.
are challenges that come with an open concept plan
yeah,
in terms of how do you orient things. You just gave up all your wall space,
yes.
and different things. It's a great way to live, but there's more to it than just, hey, let's knock out all the walls and have this big open space.
Right. I think it's a lot of questions about how do you live in your space and how
Mhm.
do you want to live in your space, and open concept wouldn't work for me.
No, yeah.
I want my compartmentalized spaces.
Exactly.
So-
And either way, I have this conversation with my real estate clients a lot. It's that whole, how are you going to live in a home?
Yeah.
Right? A perfect example is a bedroom. That extra bedroom, if you have 4 bedrooms, that fourth one likely is not a bedroom, right? It might be an office, it might be a workout space, it might be a craft room. There's all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding that a lot of people, sometimes moving is the answer, but quite often just reorienting how you use your space
Yeah.
is a great answer as well.
It is.
And that's where you come in.
And that's what I do, yeah,
Mhm.
because so often people can't see they've lived in the space for so long they can't see a way out.
Right.
And so they do think they have to move, and it's rare for me to not be able to come up with two really great options for clients to
Right.
reorganize their space. It really does just depend on what are their needs and wants, and can we accomplish that in an efficient manner and within their price point and solve most of their problems. Because often if you move, there's just different problems, right? You're gonna solve one problem and take on another.
Exactly.
Unfortunately. And most houses out there need updating.
They do.
Right?
It just is, right?
You know that. You see probably a lot more than I do.
Absolutely.
But I'm always shocked.
For sure. And it's amazing. You know, some little changes it changes everything. You know, we just did our kitchen remodel, and just some little things, changing the size of the island, and it is a totally different space.
It is.
And we didn't even do anything major. We just, you know, did some updates. But I really do think that's where having you come in is such a big advantage, because when you're in the space, you might have the awareness that you know you need to use it differently, or that the way you're using it isn't working for you. But to figure out what the other option is really hard to do for yourself.
Right.
Usually you need someone else to come in with a different perspective.
Right. I mean, sometimes I work on those projects where we're either gutting and replacing, or we're just making some minor tweaks. You know, I had a client recently, and their cabinetry was fine. It was a huge kitchen, so it would have been a huge investment to do new cabinetry. So we left the cabinets and just put in new countertop and backsplash, and it changed everything.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing. And then, you know, from there, it goes to more of a major remodel, which is what I focus on mostly, is really changing up a space. So recently I had a client who downsized from a 3,500 square foot home to Rambler 1,700 square feet.
That's a big change.
And they were starting to think, like, had they made the wrong decision? Because immediately you walked into this house and there was this huge closet blocking your way and your view into the house.
Sure.
And most kitchens were Cracker Jack boxes, you know, back in the day. Did I just say back in the day?
You did, but that's okay.
Okay.
Not your day, just the day.
The day, that's right, exactly. We had to be clear here. But I came in, they had interviewed with a couple other designers, and they had kitchen, dining room, and this kind of weird added on room. And I suggested that they move the kitchen to this room that was added on.
Okay.
And move the dining room to where the kitchen was.
Okay.
And they were like, what? None of the other designers have recommended that at all. Like, can we even do that, and what would it cost? And so I showed them why that option was going to be more functional for them.
Sure.
Come in from the garage into the kitchen, did a 10-foot slider in the dining room, took out that massive closet blocking our view, and opened up the light, so what was feeling cramped and dark and dingy before opened up, and they're super excited. They're in the middle of construction right now, but
that's great.
I get that a lot, where they're like, I hadn't even thought about that. And that's why having just another set of eyes, not doesn't have to be my eyes, but just another set of eyes on your project, because there's always a few different ways that you can tweak things, and sometimes it doesn't make sense to do that drastic of a change.
Sure.
And sometimes it can be much more simple than that, but
Yeah.
it makes a huge difference.
But I think that's the beauty of what you do, is you meet your clients where they're at, whatever part of that continuum they're on. You're happy to walk through that with them.
Yeah, I meet them where they're at, and I also push them. You know, I
Which is
also
good.
ask them to dream, like, what would be the ultimate? And by doing that, we prevent the regrets later on, like, well, should we have explored that, you know? So if you're going to invest some money, why not pay a little bit more money in the dream stage and imagine what's totally possible for your space, and then scale it back from there if it needs to be scaled back.
Sure.
You
Well,
don't-
and a small remodel still ends up being fairly expensive
it is.
by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that getting to, you know, kind of like you said, that dream state, or just really making the most of the space, it's not that much more by the time you're into it.
Right, it is
So-
not, yeah. And that's one of the most common questions, how much is this gonna cost? So, you know, there's a report out there that comes out every year. I don't know if you see it, it's by Remodeling Magazine, and it's, it gives price points all over the country.
Oh, sure.
And they focus on the Northwest, so I send that to clients, and it gives them an average of, you know, a moderate to a more expensive
Sure.
remodel, at least gets them in the ballpark. And
Yeah.
then, of course, it depends on your style and how much we're really touching the space. You know, are we tearing off all the wallboard and starting over and new floors, and that adds to it as well. But
For sure.
yeah, what's it going to cost is the $1 million question.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Absolutely. Well, and yeah.
And clients are concerned with overinvesting. I'm sure that's a common question you get a lot is, will I be overinvested in this house and be able to recoup it?
Absolutely. And that is a conversation, and I always encourage my real estate clients to reach out to me. You know, whenever they own a home, if they're looking at doing things to a house, you know, updates and things like that, so that we can talk through it. And even if they think, you know, we're not going to sell this for 10 years, but we are going to invest a significant amount of money, how does this play out from an investment standpoint? And I have lots of those conversations with people.
And how often do you think that they end up staying in your experience? Because you talk to probably 3 times the amount of clients that I do.
Sure.
But I have my own bias on what happens, but
that they end up actually staying in the space? You know, kind of about 50-50.
Is it?
Some
Okay.
stay, some move, but I think a lot of I'm seeing it happen more now, where people are kind of remodeling and staying in place. You know, certainly for us, you know, even with our own personal doing updates to our house, we are so attached to our location. You know, that there are things we want to change about our house, but you know, that location is just something we don't want to change.
yeah. Well, I
So-
love that you said that, because that is my ideal client, is somebody
Right.
who is, they bought the house or they have lived in the house for 20 years or more, and they love the neighborhood. It's accessible, and with traffic the way it is, everybody's trying to avoid that catastrophe.
Right.
And so it's so important for people to feel comfortable in their houses, because as the world gets crazier and crazier, that's our respite.
It
place,
is.
our home. And if you're not happy in your home, it's kind of frustrating. You
Yeah.
know? You're and you sit in there thinking about all the things that you could change, but you don't change anything. So.
I know, and it's really nice when you do.
It does, and you know, sometimes it doesn't have to be major. Like, I had a client who just had a mishmash of furniture, and her mother had passed away and had inherited all this really traditional artwork, and she was like, what am I going to do with this? Because if I put this up in my house, it's going to look like my grandmother's house, and I want it to look like my house.
Sure.
And so what we ended up doing, even though she didn't have a lot of wall space, there was an accent wall in her living room that was, we painted it a dark gray, almost black, and we hung artwork from floor to ceiling.
Oh, cool.
And we mixed the traditional pieces with some more modern pieces, and she loves it. She's like, I can't believe that I could do all this, and now she gets to honor her mom and all of the pieces that she inherited.
Oh, that's great.
So, and what's funny is that there was one piece that nobody in the family wanted, so she took it because she couldn't just give it away. Well, a friend of hers came over one day and said, do you know what you have there? And she's like, no, I don't, because she didn't even like it. It was like kind of dreary, and the frame was kind of ugly. And I said, I think you should keep the frame. Well, she found out it was like worth $5,000 or something
Oh my goodness.
crazy. So that's the game she plays with their guests of which piece on this wall
It's the most valuable.
is the most valuable, or the one that we were going to throw in the trash. So, yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. So
yeah.
you know, that's an example of, you know, more of a decorating type project, but it's about the project, but it's about the clients. She
Yeah.
was so thrilled and happy, and we just had fun looking through all the pieces that she had, and she could tell stories about it. So
That's awesome.
She was really happy.
Very
So-
cool.
So it can be simple. It doesn't have to be take all the walls down and start over.
I know.
Although that's fun.
Sometimes it's fun though.
Well, it's fun for me, but
That's true.
It's a hard project. You know, that I found out that the hard way that was my most challenging project, is my own project.
I think for sure.
So I had the right architect and not the right contractor at the time.
Oh,
So,
well, yeah.
it was challenging, but you know, I learned firsthand what my clients are experiencing every single day.
Yes, it is
So
good to
I
go through
learned a
that every
lot.
now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just is, you know, there's always something that is going to go wrong, or is a a little bit of a head scratcher on projects. So it's important to have a good team of architect, contractor, if you need an architect, and designer
Right.
on board, because the more people you have involved in your project,
Mm-hmm.
the better outcome you have, because you've got more
For sure.
brains thinking about it.
Right.
It's, you know, because there's always, 10 ways to skin a cat, and
Yeah.
so having somebody else's brain on it as well is a good one.
Well, and everybody has their own perspective and their own expertise. We're going through that with a property that we're getting ready to come on the market right now. Jen, my assistant, and I were meeting with a contractor yesterday, and we were focused on this one part, and the contractor said, okay, we can take care of that, but what about this part? Like, we may want to give this a little attention as well to really pull the whole thing together.
Right.
And that was really helpful.
Yeah.
To just make sure we're kind of getting it all from all different angles, like you said, so then we don't get to the end and go, wow, we've spent all this time and all this energy and it looks better, but we kind of feel like we could have, not quite. Kind of thing.
Well, and
So-
you want it to look cohesive. Like, you don't want to look
Exactly.
like part of the house got an update and the rest of the house is, still
Not.
fugly.
Exactly.
So,
what are some of the most common questions you get from your clients? You mentioned the cost part.
the cost part.
But aside from that, what are some of the things that people come to you with that the biggest questions they have?
Probably the biggest question is, who should I hire first?
Oh,
The
sure.
designer, the
Chicken or the egg, yeah.
contractor, or the architect. And I think it depends. I know that's an annoying answer, but most of the time I would say hire the designer first. And I say that because if you bring the contractor in first, you don't really know what you're going to do to it.
Well, he can't really bid the job.
So you
until
can't, you don't have any finishes, you don't have any
Yeah.
idea, but how much is it going to cost is like,
Yeah.
throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Right, for sure.
So it's important to have a designer. Sometimes a project's going to need an architect. A lot of times we can move walls and we just need an engineer to tell us that we're not going to, the roof's not going to fall in.
Sure.
Because I can't guarantee that. So I have good ideas, but I don't know how to calculate loads on the roof. So
Right. Okay. So sometimes you
Sorry.
gotta bring those guys in.
yeah, so sometimes they'll come in, but that's the biggest question, is who to hire first. And I
Okay.
think having a designer, if you do need the whole team, architect, contractor, designer, bringing them all in early on at the same time in the project, because then you're all having the same conversations.
Sure.
Architect's gonna ask you different questions than I might ask you, and the contractor's then gonna say, well, okay, well, that's a great idea, but that's gonna create this problem. So having that team thinking, you come up with a much better project in the end.
That
if
makes
you-
sense.
Yeah, if you involve everybody first. I've done it every which way, and I've come in the middle of the project, and I'm like, well, I really wanna change this, but we've already done the plans and the permitting and all that, so, so I kind of have to just bite my tongue in some of those instances.
Sure.
But, it's unfortunate because I asked different questions and the client's needs were different. So, but it
Yeah.
turned out.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that's a common question. Another question is, the $1 million question, which is white kitchen still in or out?
Oh, and what is your answer to that?
I don't care, because it's more about, what do you want? Like, if you
That's a
like
good
a white
answer.
kitchen, like, I don't know, if I had a crystal ball, I'd be a gazillionaire.
Right.
'Cause then I could tell you what's going out of style, And that is a common question is like,
Sure.
well, will this be out of style in 10 years? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
some things I might be able to predict that, I think we're probably going to look
Trendy.
back on this and think, that probably was kind of annoying at the time. But
Yeah.
like, I like quartz countertops, but I think some of the quartz styles I think are going to look dated over time. Some not so much, but I worry about that a little bit.
Yeah. For sure. And we went through that, right? Picking, because we did paint our cabinets white, and we did put in quartz cabinets, or countertops, but it makes us happy. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
And it's brighter, so
Yeah.
even if they're not in style next month, like, it's the right thing for our family, our space.
Right. And, who's buying your house? A lot of times I'll say, well, who's going to buy your house? And they're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, who knows then?
Yeah, then don't worry
that
about
person might love white and they might hate it, but,
it. Yeah.
as long as you're there, if you're going to live there for at least 5 years, make it what you want it. Because
Yeah.
in 10, 15 years, it's gonna need to be
It'll be
remodeled.
different anyway. Yeah.
I have one of those careers like you do. Everybody's gonna be selling houses.
At some point,
It's
yes.
it's a no-brainer.
It is fun and interesting though to go
Mhm.
through properties with buyers when I'm out working with buyers and going through, just to hear their comments and reactions
Oh yeah.
about different finishes or styles and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been interesting. Everybody has their own input and perspective on things,
Right.
so I'm always curious, to hear what they have
Yeah,
to say.
well, and even like right now, contrasting islands. Well, everybody wants an island.
Right.
Not everybody can have an island. I have a kitchen that I can't do an island. It'd be like a 12-inch wide island.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
not
not gonna work. But they're doing contrasting, like
Sure.
white cabinets with a gray
Mhm.
island, and everybody's like, "Well, is that going to be out?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe, but just paint them a different color then."
Yeah, yeah.
So
Exactly.
no big deal.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Everything's fixable.
It is, absolutely. If you're just joining us today, we have Melinda Slater with Melinda Slater Interiors. Today we're talking about not just remodels and updates, but space and how you use your space. And
Mhm.
Melinda is the master
Hmm.
at working with people to really figure out how to make your house work for you, whether it's maximizing it. It's funny as we're talking about it. My mind instantly goes to like maximizing for storage and how can I
Yeah.
hide everything. I think
Mhm.
it sounds like it's that, but it's just really how do you use your space? What makes you happy?
Yeah, and I think it's function and flow.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, there's, not easy access from the garage to the kitchen, or you're walking through the living room to get there, and
Right.
or the kitchen just, you're bumping butts when you're fixing your Thanksgiving dinner.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's an important thing to consider, like how are things lined up? And sometimes it's just making a few little tweaks,
Yes.
and that's all that's needed. And sometimes there's not a lot of options that you can do,
I
but
know.
but you can make it better and nicer and brighter and
Yeah,
more fun.
exactly. I know. Speaking of making Thanksgiving dinner, that open concept, that's a lot of pressure when you have people over, because you have to keep your kitchen clean
Ooh, yeah.
when you have all those
Yeah.
pots and pans and figure out how to make it look like you produced this whole dinner and all the pans like went away or
Well, you know what?
somebody took care of them. So
That's funny.
there's
'cause
pros
that's-
and cons to that big open
there
concept.
is, and I had a client recently, and she did a big island, and it's a big open concept.
Mhm.
And there was concern about that. There's a couple options. You can do 2 dishwashers if you have room, but we did a 4-foot sink,
Oh, there
not your standard 33-inch sink.
okay.
And that way, even if you aren't ready to do the dishes right
Uh-huh.
away, just pull them all off,
Oh, there you go.
shove them in the sink. The sink's a little
Nice.
bit deeper, just
That's
a
thinking.
nice way to hide it, and
All right.
and
See?
there's room for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my house it wouldn't work. I'm not a neat freak,
I'm
in that
trying to
way.
be. My
I
husband
try,
is,
but
and so he's teaching me.
Mhm.
I'm an avid student. I think I'd probably get a C-, but I'm trying.
yeah, I'm a messy cook. My husband cleans up after himself as he cooks, and I'm like a disaster.
Yeah.
I'm like my grandmother. She was the same way. Cook on high.
That's,
Get it
that's-
done.
that used to be me. Now I'm at least down to medium.
Okay.
So I tend to fare a little bit better.
Oh,
What is your most rewarding project that you've done? You've talked about a couple of them.
Yeah,
I've been-
I would say, I think my most rewarding project was the client that hung the artwork.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
When it wasn't it's either that or it's space planning.
Right.
If I'm doing something where I'm really changing the house up and making it more functional, that's just, I love that.
That's
I
pretty
could
cool.
space plan all day long.
Good to know.
I could do that. And then pick finishes and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff too. The pretty side of
Yeah.
it. But the clients and what they experience by
Mhm.
making their house better is super rewarding.
That's
Yeah.
great.
I love
And that is a gift. It is a talent because I think either your brain works that way, which yours clearly does, or it doesn't. And so I think that's great that you share that with other people because
Yeah.
that makes such a big, there's something so wonderful about really loving where you live.
Mhm.
And I think that's
It
what
is.
this stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that you say that it's my talent, and I'm like, but it's not that hard for me.
Because it's
And
your
so
talent.
you think like, well, anybody can do
Yes,
this, right?
I'm telling you from
And,
experience,
yeah.
they can't.
Yeah, it's true. I see it every day. So, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
We will have links. Again, we've got Melinda Slater with us today with Melinda
Hi, you
Slater
guys.
Interior. Hi, Facebook world. You can always catch us if you're listening to us on the radio, great, or on iTunes with the podcast. But you should catch our Facebook lives because they're very entertaining. You can
Yeah.
see all the behind the scenes.
Last week was great.
Yeah, it was
love
fun.
that one.
We did have a good time. We will have all the links for Melinda's information on our website after the show, NicoleMangina.com/podcast. But if people want to reach out to you directly, how do
Yeah.
they do that?
Slater Interiors with an S.com.
Okay.
And gift for everybody out there, if you want to download on my homepage 20 questions to ask yourself if you're considering a remodel, whether you're DIYing it or doing it yourself, or,
Okay.
or hiring a designer.
It's like, wait, DIY
DIYing
is
is
doing
it yourself.
You never know. I'm behind on the whole
I-
acronym thing.
Oh
So
yeah, I know.
it probably
So
means
yeah,
something.
so download that. Great questions to ask yourself, and you can, thinking about all those questions ahead of time will prepare you for all the other questions that are going to come after all that.
I know,
So-
and that's, I think, one other thing before the end of the show is I think probably making sure people give themselves enough time to do projects, right?
Yeah.
I know it's one of those, you want it to be done right
Mhm.
away, you want it to be done quick, but your questions just made me think of that. Like, you really need to give yourself
Yeah.
some time in the beginning to go through this, let it marinate, so that you can come up with your best solutions.
Absolutely, yeah, because you don't want to do this, especially a major remodel in a rush. Will not be successful.
Right.
And then finding the contractor, it will be difficult to find that. And so if you're thinking about something before the end of the year, reconsider that.
But it's a great time to
Yes.
start thinking about how you want to use your space differently.
Absolutely.
Probably not to get the work done, but as you're in your home entertaining or whatever it is that you enjoy doing in your home, it's a really good time to start
is.
thinking about, does this work, does this not, what do I like, what would I do differently?
Yep,
And just start
exactly.
taking notes.
Excuse me. Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
And then they can call you, you can come over and say,
Yeah.
but what about this?
Yeah,
And come up
exactly.
with something really amazing.
Yeah. The holidays are a great time to assess what's not working in your space
It is.
with the maximum people there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
love
then you
it.
get to pick finishes, which is always fun.
Yes, I
And
know.
then watch it all come together.
Yeah, so if anybody's out there thinking about a remodel, I'd love to chat with them and see if we're a good fit and just help you in that process and move forward.
Awesome. And they'll
Yeah.
find you at SlaterInteriors.com.
.com. Yeah, you can go to my contact page and fill out a form there, and I get back to you, and within 12 to 24 hours, and we'll be on the phone chatting about your project.
Yay,
And
that sounds so fun.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
fun. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us, everybody, this week. I wish you a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you have a wonderful holiday weekend, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.